Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to Last Call, where the whiskey flows and the fandom grows. And tonight, it's a very special last call, as sci-fi author T.J. Manrique has chosen our little virtual bar to launch his newest book, Another Boring Day in Space. But here, we don't judge a book by its cover. Something tells me this story will be anything but boring. We'll find out more about what the book is about, what inspired it, and all about the author and his background. So top off your glasses and get comfortable. We'll be blasting off in
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope you're all well. Tell me what you're sipping on, and please share out the stream. Do this for your friends, not for me. Do it for them, because they will thank you later, because in less than 2 weeks, they will be able to get a hold of this book, but they won't know about it if you don't let them know about this stream so they can find out about it. Real quick, I'll bring in my regular co-host and my designated driver, Aged Boomer. How you doing and what you sipping on, my friend?
I'm telling you, where'd the week go? I feel like we just did planes, trains, and automobiles.
I know, right? This week just zipped by.
I have a Fanta, an orange Fanta.
Orange Fanta, awesome,
yes.
Awesome, good,
soft
good.
drink.
And
yes.
And are you doing okay? Are you actually in the home now? Are you?
I'm in the other place. Just me for tonight, but may bring over a couple family members tomorrow. But yeah.
Okay, fair enough. We will get more into those kinds of details next week, because next week is our very special Hurricane Ian retrospective, where you're going to tell us your whole story, your harrowing journey. An adventure as you protected the residents of your municipality from the hurricane.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll say it that way.
I'm telling you, there were like 3 orphans. They were about to drown, and I just reached. I grabbed them. I'm not saying.
You're a hero. You're a hero.
Stolen valor or anything. It just really happened.
We will definitely get more into that next week. But this week, let's take no valor and nothing away from our very, very special guest. Been very excited about this. Sci-fi author T.J. Manrique. How are you doing, sir? And what are you sipping on?
Hello, very nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm having a little bit of Johnny Walker celebratory blend.
Yeah.
Cheers,
awesome.
Everybody.
Cheers. And I am sipping on...
Quality is our legacy. Handcrafted, barrel aged. Go ahead. You deserve it. Glenn Gooley, for the best of times.
That's, of course, a joke for all of our Archer fans. In reality, it's I don't know if you can see, it's Glenfiddich, Glenn Levitt. My apologies. Yeah. And, let me top off mine real quick.
Glenn Ross.
Glenn Ross, exactly, right.
We got to do a rewatch of that.
We absolutely will be, no doubt about it. You could actually see the frost on the bottle, because I kept it in the freezer. I like mine cold. I got whiskey stones that Netter got me for Christmas last year. So it's going to be a smooth night, I suspect. So, T.J. Manrique, I like I was saying, if those of you guys that are following me on the social medias, you've seen us building each other up all week on Twitter and whatnot. So that's been a lot of fun. But what really the story behind your actually even being here was we're coming to the end of the year, and I was just like, I need a couple guests for the rest of the year. Is there anyone who'd like to come on? And you were the first person to reach out to me and say, hey, yeah, I'm launching my book on this night. If you could have me on, that'd be great. What What prompted you to decide to launch your book on this channel of all places?
You asked.
Well, there's several components to that answer. The first one, of course, is I'm a fellow drinker, so
Salud.
that helped. But the other thing is, I've watched several of your shows. The ones with
I should apologize right now.
Well, no need. Some of the ones with the Star Wars figurines and
Oh yeah.
some of the other authors you've had on. Plus, you've discussed several different sci-fi areas. So I figured when I saw that there was a chance to get on, I said, "Well, this is the place." I mean, absolutely, no doubt.
Oh, I super appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's say hi to the chat. Big Al of Big Al Presents was first. He said have a great streak. He was here like an hour before. I mean, that's pretty awesome. But then, of course, there's my lovely and talented favorite Blue Wrench and bouncer at the bar, Netter of Netter's Network. I love you too, sweetie.
I'm drinking water.
You're drinking water. Fair enough.
Water.
And PJ of Orville Nation.
Orville Nation.
Good to see you, my friend. Together we grow. That's why I do what I do here. And Connie Cleary, always awesome to see you. Hello, everyone. And, of course, Matanui, always encouraging to see you here, my friend. You are awesome. And there's that deleted scenes we were talking about in the background. He's always sharing the links out and making sure that we're all covered. Super appreciate that, my friend. And, Evelyn Hampton. Kabla. Aj. Good to see you, my Admiral in Klingon hood. It's good to see you. And you will definitely be enjoying tonight's stream. You will be gaining a new favorite sci-fi author tonight. Trust me on that. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Big Al is saying that he's drinking a Diet Dr. Pepper, which is usually what Netter is sipping on when she's had a hard week. But she must be feeling pretty good tonight. It's just water tonight for her.
If we had beer, I'd be drinking that.
Yeah, you want some Glenlivet? I mean, you
I
could.
don't like that stuff.
I know. The hard stuff kind of gives you a headache. Good evening, everyone from Sir Torrin Clegane. Good to see you, my friend. Certainly awesome to see you. Kai Cleary, coffee, black as midnight on a moonless night. There you go. That's the way.
Dark.
That's the way to drink it. And you know what? If you're drinking that with a slice of cherry pie, here's to you, Connie. Absolutely. And Deleted Scenes is drinking sweet tea. That's the. And I don't know what maybe it was what you're sipping on that Big Al is saying. A way to go, Boomer. But
It was because of those orphans I saved.
there you go. Well, I never even thought about that because that's just a day in the life for you. I mean, that's just a hero's life. You kind of get to expect that after a while.
What's the delete abort?
I have no idea. I don't know what I said that he wants me to back away from, but I absolutely will. Let's see. Okay, so I think I got everyone who's been here so far tonight. At least everyone that said hi. If you're here and you haven't said hi, don't feel bad that I didn't say hi to you. You didn't say hi to me. So, yeah. But anyway, let's get right on into it. So we know why you're here. We know the name of your book. But I guess the first thing that I want to ask you is, an author. What brings somebody to? Is it a calling to be a writer? Why did you decide to be a writer?
Being a writer is a release. It's like an actor is like a singer with a lot less talent, but still. I always wanted to write. I have two girls. They're women now. One is 30, the other one is 28. But when they were little, they were really huge fans of the Mighty Morphin's Power Rangers. So I
Yeah.
would tell.
So they were probably having a rough month then. This
Oh yeah,
with the news.
very
This
very
yeah.
much so because of the Green Ranger.
Yeah.
But when they were little, when they were eating, I would tell them stories, and I would simply make up stories about the Power Rangers and other stories, and I started telling them all kinds of stories, some of them mine. And we used to do this at McDonald's in the weekends. And at one point, I was the official storyteller. And a couple of the parents started saying, well, you could do this, you could write.
Yeah.
But I never had the time. So in 2000, I started thinking seriously about sitting down and writing. And I started finding out just how difficult it actually is. Because one thing is to come up with a neat story and just belt it out. And a different thing is to put it down in a book, actually edited, formatted, that it looks good, that it's got consistency, no errors and all of this and all of that. I write on my computer. So the first time I wrote a book, I said, well, there's not going to be any, at least any orthographic errors, because the autocorrect will catch it wrong. There were. There were homophones and homographs, so I would use one word which meant something else,
right?
And I didn't realize it. So it was a learning process. By 2019, I was seriously thinking about writing a book to publish.
Mm-hmm.
I started looking into publishing and that kind of stuff, and I realized I didn't want to go through an agent.
Why is that?
Agents really know what they're doing, and publishing houses really know what sells at that time.
Okay.
So if your book is out of that range, if your book is something new or something different, or even something in an old style, they won't pick it up because it doesn't sell.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to self-publish. First off, because I want to learn. And second off, because I want it out. The first book I published is called Trip. And it's written in a 1960s style. It starts very slow. It's very dramatic at the beginning. There's a large cast that comes into the story. And in today's market, that's a no-go. I would have never been able to publish it, because in today's market, your book has to be, your character has to be in medias res. He's got to be in trouble immediately. Otherwise, you won't hook your reader.
That's because of a short attention span theater.
It's interesting. It's interesting it mentions that, like, how many TV shows do we watch where they're, the guy shooting at the bad guys or something, and it says 24 hours earlier, and then it goes that. And I've noticed that trend even on TV where they always.
And I personally, I have a real problem with that. That is a trope that is way overused. In fact, kind of a send up for next week. I've been doing my homework, watching that cartoon, The Spectacular Spider-Man. Netter, of course, watching with me. And one of the episodes, she's only half paying attention because she doesn't have to directly attend to it. She's not going to be on the show. And she looks up and she's like, wait, didn't we just see this? I said, yeah, this is one of those, you see the story and then they go back and show how they got to it. She goes, oh, so I didn't really miss anything. No, you didn't miss anything. It's all come back around again. And that can be a good way to tell a story, but you have to know what you're doing. And unfortunately, a lot of the people doing that these days You know, they don't.
I think
Exactly.
it was fine 15 years ago. Now it's getting kind of stale.
I mean, it was something that worked really well in exactly what you were talking about, TJ, that pulpy type of, I mean, that was great with the noir stories, right? Where the guy comes into the police station and he goes, "I've been murdered."
Exactly.
And then you go back and you hear the whole story about how he got poisoned and who,
Awesome.
you know,
Yeah.
da 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 da, and you get a 2-hour story, and then after he finishes telling the story, he dies, you know, and then they got to go find it, you know, whatever, or something like that, you know. That works great, but there's got to be a reason for it, you know. There's got to be a reason for that kind of setup. If you don't have that, don't do it. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's essentially where I came from, in the sense that I wanted to try my hand at different things. So I tried trip in that style. I tried my second book was oh dear God, Einstein's Shadow, which is a female protagonist, and it's about a galactic hauler that it's trucking along, and then it finds a castaway, and they get in trouble in a distant planet. But the point, though, is, again, I was going against the grain, in the sense that even though it was a strong female character, I put him in a very perilous situation that is not usually what heroes do. Heroes are selfless and, you know, good guys, and so on and so forth.
Unless they're an anti-hero.
Yes, but these guys were just regular people.
Yeah,
very mercenary. They saw an opportunity to make money, and they said, "Oh, hey, let's do this because we're gonna get paid." And then they get in a lot of trouble, and then they become heroic, I hope. So
there you go.
Yeah. So and
wait a minute. You get that was very interesting. You just said you hope. So I got to ask you this: pantser or plotter?
Very good question. I'm a pantser. So
that kind of was implied by what you just said. So there you go.
So I'm the first reader of my book. I'm writing it and I'm reading it at the same time. And I'm going, ooh, this is interesting. And, oh, let's see what happens now, kind of thing. Yeah. And then the other thing, though, is, and I came across this expression a lot later here in Orlando. We have the Orange County Library System. And they have talks by different local authors and different people that come over and talk about the subject. And one lady who writes YA, young adult, they were asking her, you know, about how she felt about people interpreting her book, and the kind of fan letters she was getting, because she wrote for 8 to 12th grade. And she's going, it's great that I'm getting the letters, and that's it. I don't have an opinion about what they think of the book because the author is dead. Once you've written the book and you've published the book, you're done.
So you're a death of the author kind of author.
It belongs to the reader now. I don't write series. I write standalone.
Cheers, man. That I love to hear that. That is good to hear. It really is.
Troy was getting testy during our watching of Blade Runner about death of the author. Remember Ridley Scott?
Blade Runner and so many other things. I'm getting sick and tired of these writers and directors, you know, just, well, you know, I intended that this was this and not and that, and that's like, well, if you have to tell me that, you didn't do your job. Precisely. It wasn't in the book. You're a crappy writer if you didn't convey. So, like, and look, I am currently a very, very big fan of what's the girl's name? She wrote the thing about the kid with the scar on his forehead.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Yeah, Rowling. Okay. Right, exactly. She, you know, came out and she said, "Hey, did you know that this character was gay?" And everyone's like, "No, how would we have known that? There was nothing in the story that even hinted at that.
There's no
you
mentioning
know?
of any kind of relationship. Yeah.
Right. So she took a lot of flack for that, and I think rightly so, because it's like, look, if you point something out that people missed, okay, good. Okay, that's great. It was a little Easter egg. It's like, oh, I missed that. But there was nothing like that. That was something going on in her head that never made it to page. So as far as I'm concerned as a reader, doesn't exist because it wasn't in my head.
Exactly. And it's one of the reasons why, for instance, with the new Trek, people get so incensed because, Spock, his most endearing characteristic of the original one, TOS.
Yes.
Leonard Nimoy's rendition of the character.
Right.
The guy surprised himself every so often with,
Sure.
oh, that's one of your human emotions. But
Yeah.
I, as a Vulcan.
Right.
Yeah, but you're half human. Well, that's why every so often I slip and I have one of them.
Yeah.
That's totally different. He's logic based. He's and of course they had a ton of fun with that.
Well, you make a great point there because, and I don't know this from, Leonard Nimoy. I don't remember him actually saying this, but I have to imagine that if you've played a role for as long as he did, right, as you look back on the character and the evolution of the character, you realize that what you may have thought about your character back in the beginning and what you thought about him during the movies, and later on, absolutely evolved because the character himself evolves. And I think our interpretation of Spock isn't just Leonard Nimoy and what he was emoting, in the 60s, but what we get from Kirk and what we get from McCoy and, and
the group dynamic. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So that by the time we get to the movies, I'm glad you brought up Spock because I was just thinking about this today for a completely unrelated reason. He's got this line in Star Trek VI where he's taken on a protege in this, what was her name? Valeris, I think?
Oh, maybe. Kim Cattrall.
Yeah.
Kim Cattrall's character, exactly. And she says something about logic dictates. And it sounded just like what he would have said back in the 60s. He goes, logic and logic. He says, Valeris, logic is only the beginning of wisdom. And I love that because this is somebody who put on airs, like you were implying, about being Vulcan and not experiencing these emotions. And later on, he realizes, that's a bunch of bullshit. Not only for him as a half human, but for other Vulcans as well. They're denying the emotions. They just suppress them. And this resonates with me when later on I see Enterprise and you see T'Pol, and she's got this very dogmatic time travel is impossible, despite all the evidence to the contrary. And it's like, your logic has failed you because you are no longer it's what we. I'm gonna be a little vulgar here, but back in my college days when we talked about philosophy, you could argue that philosophy was the beginning of wisdom, but if it doesn't match up with reality, my professor called it mental masturbation. He said it means nothing. It's an exercise in uselessness, and
it's an exercise in self-policing.
Exactly.
Of reality.
And if you become dogmatic in your logic and it doesn't match up with what you're seeing, then you're missing something. And Spock has learned there's logic, but that only applies to computers, right?
Exactly. Yes.
If you're dealing with a human, if you're dealing with a Klingon, you better at least have an idea of how emotion works and entropy and random causality and, the butterfly effect. These things defy logic, but you need to take them into account if you're to understand the universe around you. And it was almost like he's patting the girl on the head and, logic. you know. But there you go. So thank you for letting me go off on my little tangent there.
So I noticed in your author bio that you discovered in the late '60s. You discovered Star Trek in the late '60s, and that was the start of your torrid love affair with science fiction. Was that the
For most of us, yeah.
Was that your gateway? That might have been for a lot of us, I guess. Yeah, it would be.
That was exactly right. I mean, I loved science fiction from the Buck Rogers era. You know, the black and white with the sparkler tailed. I mean,
I love it. And then the smoke coming upward. Yeah.
You know, and I liked those, but you know, they were entertaining. But I didn't become passionate. I didn't fall in love with the characters and get invested in their universe as I did with Star Trek TOS. So that's where it actually all started for me. To the point, I mean, I was 10 or so at the time, so I was thinking, wow, I want to be an astronaut. And of course, there was the whole Apollo thing going on at the same time. I quickly realized astronaut was not in the cards for me.
as every young man eventually figures out. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, my problem was I was good at math up until calculus. From then on, forget about it. All those squiggly things, give me numbers. No. So, but then eventually I wanted to go into space medicine and that kind of jazz.
Cool.
But I ran out of money, so I had to go to work.
I get that. So I'm going to ask a question, and if it's too personal, just let me know. But
No such thing.
I'm listening, and I'm hearing a slight accent. So,
Oh yeah.
English is not your first language, is it?
No. My first language is Spanish. I'm originally from Venezuela, and yeah, I came over to the States in the late '70s to study. I went to UCLA and got my degree in biochemistry because, again, the whole space medicine thing. But like I said, I ran out of money.
Yeah.
So I went a different way. I got a master's in pharmacology because I figured I could make quick money there.
I can see the logic there. Yeah, sure.
No. I mean, I had a great product. I had a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I had the perfect, natural, no side effects, male contraceptive.
Okay.
And I thought I said, man, I got it.
Where are we going with this? Okay.
I'm going to be so rich. There was one little tiny flaw in my logic.
What's that?
How many men do you know that are interested in taking a contraceptive?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So you made the connection between the pharmacology and the marketing.
Oh, yeah.
There you
go. And then when I went back to Venezuela, I tried to get into, well, at first I tried to get my contraceptive produced, and it was a rude awakening that you actually had to sell stuff to make money with it.
Yeah.
You know, they respectfully declined my overtures. So I went into marketing, in sales and marketing for laboratory products. And then eventually I moved into medical disposable products. And that led me to general managing. I was director of a couple of companies. Eventually I ended up having my own company. And then things happened that are not relevant. And I came over to the States. And I said, now I'm going to be a writer. Yay.
Now, how long ago was that that you decided to become a writer?
About 2018. In 2018, I said, enough of this fooling around with a lot of stuff. I'll just concentrate on writing, getting serious about this, getting serious about publishing, getting stuff down on paper, finding out about editing, which was shocking because I thought I wrote really well and I was wrong. So, but I needed somebody to tell me about it. because
It
I
won't-
still enjoy what I write.
Yeah.
The problem is it may not sell.
So it sounds a lot like one of the things that a lot of us in this community often talk about. One of our favorite, franchises, of course, is Star Wars. So we always look to George Lucas. And if you look at the history on the original Star Wars, man, the guy had a great idea for a story. But when it came to plotting it out, he needed some help. He needed a lot of editing.
Big time.
And a lot of us credit his ex-wife, Marsha Lucas, to the real success behind Star Wars, because if she hadn't said, you know what, there's no stakes in this final battle. If you don't build up the tension, and no, 3 passes is people are going to walk out of the theater. Let's amp it up even more, and let's So
we need to hear more Porkins.
Yeah, Porkins. No, there's something to be said for that. When you got all the people dying around you, and it gets down to like Luke and Wedge, and that's it. And Luke is on his last run. That's great tension. None of that was in what George Lucas wrote. So it's like, hello.
No, and that was even the second or third version, because in the first version, Luke Skywalker was an old general and he was discovering the Force and all of this stuff. So
it's funny because there's I none of my business, and you don't have to talk about this on the stream, but I don't know if you're spiritual at all, but the Bible says, in Proverbs, many advisors make victory assured, and I'm a huge believer in that, if you write a story, and you think it's great, maybe have at least 3 people read it and tell you if they agree, because if they don't agree, you need to go back to the drawing board.
you're so right. I mean, the technical term is beta readers. Technically, you have to get. You write your book and you polish it and you make it, as nice as possible.
Yeah.
And then you get people that read the genre. If they read science fiction, then and you write science fiction, put it there. Or if you write fantasy, get some fantasy readers and give them a book and say, okay, here's my book, take a read. Usually you give it to them chapter by chapter,
right,
with questions at the end. And you find out if the characters are likable. You find out if there's enough tension. You find out if you're holding their interest. You find out a lot of things. My personal experience with one of them was I gave him the first 2 or 3 chapters. And guy loved it. And, he really liked it, liked the characters, liked everything. And on the 4th chapter, I gave it to him, and he came back with, "What happened? What happened? Everybody's stuck in. You're not going anywhere with this. I don't feel the danger anymore.
Right.
What'd you do? Where'd you go?" And I'm going, "Are you kidding? This is great dialogue. I mean, look at this." And it's going, no. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Rewrite it. The whole thing. So.
Yeah, no, and again, going back to George Lucas, he got a lot of that too from Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill, who was like, this dialogue's bullcrap. I'm not saying this, and there's one series of lines where in many different interviews, Mark Hamill is spewed out this ridiculous, very cringy, very very detailed, lore-laden, language. And he's like, he clearly thought out his world, but this was all a bunch of crap that nobody cared about in the story.
Not in a movie.
Yeah. That's the key. And, Alan Moore, who wrote for comics, was a big one on writing to the media. You know, the media is the tool, right? Right tool for the right job, we always say. And the media, you have to understand your media. The way you write a novel, the way you write a movie, the way you write a comic book, all different, all very different. And to Alan Moore's thinking, you should not take something that was written as a comic book and turn it into a movie. He doesn't like that. And I got to be honest with you, I see his point. I enjoy seeing my my favorite comic book characters turned into movies, but at the same time, I always come away with it saying, it wasn't as good as the source material. The source material was the source material for a reason. There's a reason that he wrote it as a comic book and not as a movie. You know, I mean, I say that keeping in mind that, you know, fingers crossed, maybe your books do become movies someday. I mean, so don't. Yeah, right.
Hopefully,
for monetary reasons.
Hopefully, a movie and not a Disney Plus series. I'm sorry.
Am I? You're right. Absolutely.
100% with you. No, but see, the thing is though that for example, this one in particular, the one we're talking about today, Another Boring Day in Space. This is a novella. Thank you. This is a novella in the sense that it's a short story. I wrote it for NaNoWriMo in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month. I don't know if you knew that. And you're supposed to write 50,000 words. Well, I got to 40,000 and I was done. The book was done. So I didn't have anywhere else to go with it. Then, of course, came all the editing and everything else. And here we are, end of 2022, and it's finally seeing the light of day. But the thing of it is, though, originally I was thinking, I'm going to write, a huge novel with intricate characters and an intricate world and an intricate this and intricate that. And that's not it. I mean, if you can make it light and quick and enjoyable, and people get to empathize with your characters, hate the bad guy, love the good guy kind of thing. Throw him a curveball and have one of the good guys be actually a bad guy and betray everybody, including you as a reader. And you're going, how can you do this? No, that's the best feeling in the world. So
you make a great point because, again, drawing the comparison from Star Wars, George Lucas would have you believe that he had it all planned out and he knew what he was doing, and it's bullshit. Any real fan knows he was making it up as he went along. Or he changed his mind as he went along. He may have had it all planned out, but things changed as he went, right? But then you have people that really do that, and so the Star Wars universe, as we understand it, is constantly being broadened, right? With the EU and the what is canon, what isn't, whatever. It builds and builds and builds over time. This isn't stuff that George had in his head to begin with, despite what he might say. However, that is a style. George R.R. Martin, I'm assuming example. He must have friggin' made up the whole world and the whole history and everything in his head, and we're just trying to friggin' draw it out of him, for crying out loud. I mean,
I've read a lot about him and interviews and watched panels with him because I find his style fascinating. Whereas where I'm a pantser and I sit down and I bang out the novel, he goes in a retreat for at least a year for every book. So he goes and he researches sword making, sword fighting, fighting on horses, what the the design of the castles were, depending on where they were, why the castles in a very cold climate are this way, and why the castles on a desert area are this way. What are the significance of the horses and all of this for this? And then he starts to write the novel. So
and you know, I have to compare that to, and this is a huge leap. No. I was going to compare this to Richard Donner when he did Superman. His whole North Star was verisimilitude, right? He's thinking, grounding it in a kind of believable reality. And that's what Martin is doing when he's writing A Game of Ice and Fire, right? He's thinking through real history. I'm going to call him a scholar of history. He would probably say he's an amateur scholar or whatever, but he's done his reading on history, and he's drawing from history as his inspiration, and he's using real world understanding of battle tactics and castle layouts and technology and things like this before he even starts writing. And I greatly respect that. When this is a weird comparison to draw, but I look at George Martin and I look at the YouTube channel Shadiversity, where Shad is doing a comic book. Yes, and he is doing exactly the same thing, where he knows history and he knows combat tactics and so forth, and then he decides to write. And I'm like, that's the kind of story I want to read, And actually, I just realized a lot of my viewers probably don't know this. Boomer probably doesn't know this. Netter's probably the only one who knows this. Wow. I had actually wanted to write a story myself that would have been a steampunk story set in a Victorian era, because Nanette and I were doing, the whole Victorian steampunk, going to conventions. We had characters. We were involved with people, an immersive kind of thing. I wanted to author the story behind it, but then I just dove in both feet into the research of history and, so on and so forth. And I want to say it was daunting. It was overwhelming. It really was. And I'm like, I'm not even going to begin writing the story until I really know what I'm getting into, Because I did not want to write the story and then have a bunch of people pick it apart and go, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
That's not how Steam works.
No, exactly. And there's so many writers in the steampunk, area that just, it's fiction, it's fantasy. I can make up whatever I want. And it's like,
it's not the way it works.
No. The best alternate histories fully understand history first, in my opinion. Just saying.
Not only that, but in order to make an alternate history believable, you have to be able to say that could have happened because. And
yes.
The person reading the story has to be able to supply the reasons why that is reasonable without you saying them. Just by the way it's put up, by the way it's framed, they should be able to say, of course, that's reasonable. Just like, for instance, with Martin's books, when he talks about the wall and how that separates them from the White Walkers. And then us as modern men go, wow, a wall like that made of ice? Wait a minute. But then it makes sense because, and that's when he comes in and tells you about the different winters and the different summers,
Right.
and how it all works.
And when you start thinking about things like, the Great Wall of China, the Berlin Wall, and so forth, and then you think about like World War II, when you had people thinking about creating ships out of ice, or what was it called? Something Crete, Ice Crete, or something like that, where they had like wood pulp mixed with water to make ice to make a ship and stuff. Right. And it's, things that never actually happened, but they thought about. And it's like, okay, these kinds of real world things he knew about when he was writing his book. There's no doubt about that, and,
So I have a question. Sorry, I just saw some flashing lights. Never mind. Okay.
Well, no. Go ahead, but then I want to get to Boosh, who
get to Boosh now. I'll answer.
Yeah, Boosh needs you to needs us to kind of fill him in. And normally I wouldn't do this. I'd say go back and rewatch on double speed, but I think it's important for you to understand who our guest is. So we have author T.J. Manrique, who is releasing his book very, very shortly. He's launching it today. Another Boring Day in Space, which is, and we'll get more into that book in a little bit, but we've been going into his past about how he emigrated to the United States, his history in business, and how he decided, screw all that crap, I'm going to be a writer, and then he realized, I need some editorial help and some input, and have I brought us up to speed? Let me know if I missed anything.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Now, you had said in your, I saw an interesting question where you said sometimes plot twists come easy and sometimes you have to work for them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
That's an interesting.
Well, see, since I'm a pantser, I don't plan it out.
Right.
And
let me interrupt you real quick. I think for our audience, you should explain the difference between pantser and plotter.
Of course. A plotter is, for example, your good friend J.K. Rowling, the one who wrote Harry Potter. She is an exquisite plotter. She takes, okay, this is where this is going to start. Then we're going to move over to here. Here's where I'm going to introduce this character. It's going to do this to the story.
Like an outline.
A real map, a road map of everything she's going to do, the whys, the hows, the whens, character Bible.
Harry Plotter.
Okay.
Very good. I'm going to use that one. Just so that
I like that. Harry Plotter.
Use that one. So that's a plotter. And then there's the poor lost souls that are pantsers like myself who say, wow, it would be a great idea if I had this person that was an expert in security and he got called to an island. Wait. So you start writing and you have this guy get a contract and do this and do that. And he should do, and he should have this friend that does this and that and the other. And then this bad guy does this. And you have that bad guy is just too bad.
Kind of making it up as you go along.
Yeah, you make it up as you go. That's what you're writing by the seat of your pants.
That's pantser, exactly.
That's when you're a pantser. You just make it up as you're writing, and it's good because it's a really exciting way to write. Dialogues are very flowing, usually true. That happens.
Right.
Dialogues are very, very nice, very flowing, but you introduce a whole bunch of plot holes because sometimes you forget this happened. Sometimes you paint yourself into a corner and you don't know how to get out of it.
I'm going to
And-
ask you a side question related
Go
to
ahead.
that.
Go ahead.
Do you ever... I'm going to be embarrassed if you say no on this, actually. Do you ever think of scenes in your head that exist in isolation, and then you're like, man, that's a great scene. I got to work that into the story? As a pantser.
I have an app that's called Notes that it links to my Google, it links to my phone, it links to my laptop, my tablets. And there are some times where I'm just sitting around eating lunch or whatever, and I'm going, wow, this would be a great... And I would just go ahead and, type it out real quick and leave it there.
Yeah.
And once I'm done with whatever book I'm writing at the time, I go back and I read all of the scenes, and I'm going, oh, that one looks good. Pull it out.
Nice.
And write a book
I dig
around.
it. I dig it. So the
No, the question that Boomer was asked before.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a reference to sometimes you have to work for your plot twists, and sometimes they happen.
So
And, yeah.
when, like I said, sometimes I paint myself into a corner, and I was going for a plot twist, but then I find that I can't come up with it. I don't know how to solve it.
Right.
So many times I have to go back and then, well, I got to take this out. I got to take this out. Sometimes I have to scrap a whole plot point because of it, because I just can't come up with a nice twist. Sometimes it flows, sometimes not so much. And I don't believe in writer's block. I believe in writer's exhaustion.
Right.
Sometimes you're just exhausted and you can't go on, and you keep
Yeah.
hitting a wall, and
I hear
you
you.
can't come up with a good character. You can't come up with with a good plot twist. And how am I going to grab the reader? I mean, forget this. So I still think you have to sit down and write, even if it's crap, because that's what editing is for. But it does happen. It blocks you, and it's a terrible feeling when it does happen.
Bush says, I find that that's the way with American Horror Story. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh yeah, I am.
The scene is going to be awesome, and then it doesn't connect. And I like the fact that he has decided to use American Horror Story as an example, but the fact is, I kind of have to say it feels like most writing these days, whether it's TV or movies that I've seen, there just seems to be this lack of professionalism. I don't know what to say, but there's this, oh, this seems like a great story, and I read it and I go, did you take, literature 101? I mean,
Troy, first off,
and again, maybe this also has to do with the fact that you're on with Aged Boomer and Troy Pacelli, a couple of older guys. We're a little bit old fashioned, maybe, right?
No, but see, the reason why we're old fashioned is because we were used to getting, at least in my time, 3 TV channels.
Yep.
You only
CBS,
had
NBC, and ABC.
and NBC. That was it.
Yep.
You had to be there at 7:00 if you wanted to watch.
Yep.
There was no recording. You didn't
There
have
was
physical media back then.
None
Yep.
of that. And then the other thing is, things had to be fresh. What do you mean fresh? I mean, if you had seen it before, it was no good.
Rerun.
For example, you had The Rifleman. You had Rawhide.
Oh, I
You
love
had-
the Rifleman.
Right? No.
Dun 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 dun. I can hear that tune in my head when you say that.
And then
That's how old I am, people. If you don't know what the Rifleman is, Google it.
Google.
Uh,
And then you had to have, you didn't have to have, but you had the Wild Wild West. And these are
Oh my gosh. And unfortunately, all these kids know of the Wild Wild West is the Will Smith movie.
No, please don't say it.
No, I know, right?
About that with Selma Hayek. I kid you not. So, and the thing is, I mean, these were all cowboy stories.
Evelyn knows. Evelyn is
Yes.
Evelyn's older than I am. I won't say, I won't out you, Evelyn, but you are someone I greatly respect. Amen. Thank you so much.
So, I mean, you had the Rifleman, you had Rawhide, you had Wild Wild West. They were all cowboy shows, westerns, but they were radically different. One was about this father taking care of his kid. The other one was about, driving the cattle drive and getting, there was a stampede of cattle every other episode, but still, it was interesting, And then you had the Wild Wild West, which was your steampunk.
Kind of steampunk, absolutely right. Yeah. Matanui is a very much younger, patron of the channel, and I love the fact that he's engaged with us old folks, and we live in an era. I joke when I say Google it, but I know that people do, right? So I read the comics and I watched the movies and the so forth. So when I go and see things now and they reference this older material, I'm like, I know what they're talking about, but I also know that the younger generations are going, there's something there. Let me go Google that. And there's YouTube channels dedicated to all the Easter eggs and all the references and all the things. And I know people like Matanui are not missing the things that I'm excited about because of the era we live in, this information era. And I don't know. I guess it just makes me excited about this generation because of that,
Agreed. But where I was going with this is it had to be fresh stuff. You didn't you didn't have a remake of. You had 60 police shows. You had Dragnet. You had, all of them.
Right.
Chips.
You had Rockford Files. You had Chips. Chips was fantastic. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Michael Dorn before he was Worf.
Exactly. So, there were all of these original material. They were coming up with fresh stuff all the time. Redoing something? Are you kidding me? Redoing Gone with the Wind or redoing The Wizard of Oz or redoing? No. There was all this fresh stuff. There's all this fresh material. Today, there's the same amount of fresh material. It's incredible. In the area where I move, I read so much self-published novels. Amazing talent out there. Incredible. Of course, you have the editing houses are built to make money. So they will publish what sells. And you have this interminable series, 17, 18, 19 books. Same characters, essentially the same plot. Incredibly long character arcs, incredibly long plots. And I understand that people like it. It's familiar. George R. Martin, I mean, his Song of Ice and Fire, people are clamoring for the last book. They're about to, go over there with pitchforks and torches. And I understand it. I mean, yeah. But on the other hand, I really know that there's a lot of new stuff out there. There's fresh material. There's fresh materials for movies. There's fresh materials for TV, for novels. So, and there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of people out there putting out really good stuff.
You make an excellent point, and that's actually the pivot point I want to focus on, because one of the things we do on this channel, on Age of Boomers channel, and all the channels in our sphere, is we point out that we're getting kind of sick and tired of all the reboots and the reimaginings and all the stuff, because let's face it, the things they're rebooting and reimagining are only great because they were completely novel, right? Star Wars had nothing like it before. Indiana Jones had nothing like it before. I mean that.
Well, it had things that it called from, just like a lot of
Right.
these shows. They bounced off each other too. I'm sure they
Exactly.
built what came before. Yeah,
I
they
mean,
were still
Star
their own
Wars
thing.
was inspired by Kurosawa and westerns
and
and
Flash
things
Gordon.
like that, but it was something unique in and
yeah.
of itself, right? It wasn't a remake of something, and people are getting sick of the remakes, and
Thank you.
and that brings us back to, frankly, you, TJ. The new story that is not a remake of something, might be inspired by something, I don't know. You'll tell us in a moment, but this is a jumping on point. And I think for a lot of people, the jumping on point is, oh, this is new. Let me look into this, which does bring us to your new book, which you're launching today, Another Boring Day in Space, which I joked about in my monologue. Something tells me this is not a boring story, despite the title.
Somebody looks dead.
Yeah, murder in space. Right? What does it say? Being bored is not so bad if the alternative is murder.
Exactly.
So what prompted you to write about murder in space?
Thank you for the question. This is the way that came out. At one point, right before the pandemic, I was watching a lot of TV shows, Netflix, HBO, and so on and so forth.
Sure.
And all of the space adventures were exciting. All of them. There were aliens, and there were this, and there was that, and there was comets, and I'm going, well, would a interstellar trip really be like that? I mean, we're talking about going from one planet to the other at the speed of light. You're going to take about 11 years to the closest star we got.
Right.
So 11 years. It better be a cruise ship, And still
Right.
You're gonna get bored. So I started thinking about it, and I said, well, what would happen? I mean, what would happen if? And my if was, what if you were a nice guy, kind of a loner, but nice, doing your job, going about your everyday, bored because there's nothing else to do but regular work, same thing, in, day out, same people, day in, day out, and somebody died, and they say, you killed him. Not me. I mean, what do you mean I killed him?
Right.
Say, well, it's got to be you because there's nobody else. Well, wait a minute. So think about this. In a cruise ship, there's no court system. So let's get on a spaceship. There's no court system. The captain is going to have to decide. So then you're at the mercy of these people that are just trying to be expeditions that get this problem out of the way. And you're going, wait a minute, you're playing with my life.
Yep.
And that was my starting point with Another Boring Day in Space. I have a board engineering. trying to spice up his life, and then all of a sudden it gets a lot of spice in the form of murder, but it's a lot of spice.
Yeah, I'd say murder is a lot of spice. So TJ, I got to say that when you reached out to me about coming on my channel, started thinking about Another Boring Day in Space. And just the title, I'm like, Another Boring Day in Space. I can't even imagine a boring day in space. Everything can frickin' kill you. You're flying through space in a tin can, and if there's so much as a little puncture in that can, you're dead.
Done.
You're done.
Right.
There is nothing. And, look, you just look at any movie about space, whether it's...
They're all exciting.
What was the one with the Gravity?
Yes, Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
Sandra Bullock and Batman. It's like
George
Clooney,
Clooney.
yeah.
Yes.
George Clooney. Thank you. It's like that's a great example of everything's conspiring to kill you. This space is not a place where humans belong, right? And we have to come up with so many ways to keep ourselves alive in space. Oh gosh, even David Bowie, right? Ground Control to Major Tom, and the whole song is about how he's going to end up dead, because he's in space.
Right.
So that's why my monologue was so tongue in cheek. It's like I can't even imagine what a boring day in space would be, let alone murder. And I don't know if you had any inspiration from this, but very recently we had some astronauts in space. And did you know that the first crime from space was actually committed?
What?
No.
You hadn't heard about this?
No.
Apparently there was one of the astronauts was pulling a scam on the internet from while they were up in space.
What?
Yeah.
Get out of town.
Yeah. When I sober up, I'll find the backup
How did I
for
not
you. And
know
I'll share
about
that.
this?
Yeah,
I didn't know about it either, to be fair.
Yeah.
Heard about it.
It had to do with a divorce and all kinds of
Boo!
Look, let's face it. We live in an era where we're dealing with the internet and all this kind of stuff and cyber stalking and all kinds of things. So this stuff becomes a little bit easier to understand and believe, but I
believe it. My problem is that I'm a space mouse. I mean, I'm the kind of person that was out there at whatever time it was and god awful time it was in the morning to see the Artemis rocket go up. I should have known about this. I'm going to have to Google it right after this.
Let me real quick interrupt us.
You might have an idea for another novel.
Maria.
Someone just joined us, Maria with T and Telly. We were talking about you back in the green room. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. We super appreciate you being here. You are awesome and at least partly responsible for hooking me and TJ up. So thanks for being here so much. But yeah. I mean, we are getting into an era where space, that the whole 2001, 2010, all that stuff that we dreamed about, kind of starting to come true, right? When we talk about the International Space Station and all that kind of stuff. We're still not as far along as we'd like to be, and we think we should be by this time. But I think that's more a shortcoming of the inability to work together as countries than anything else. Just my opinion.
Exactly right. And I explored that very thought on my book trip, the Reinitiative Project.
Yes.
This guy.
Oh.
Because...
wait, show that again.
Thank you. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, on this book...
that was your previous book, right?
Yeah, that was my first book. I came up with that one January of this year.
Mhm.
In that one, I have a person that he's a recent widower. He wants to get away from it all, and as he is trying to go to another planet, he finds that there's a lot of problems because countries can't work together. There's greed, there's envy, there's all kinds of problems that people make between everybody. So that's what we went.
So Bush is sharing his. I think he's sharing his idea for a story. So
Hey, listen, man, run with it.
I was going to say, be careful because someone might run with that. So we could have a lawsuit because of my channel, right? If someone steals an idea from someone else.
Well, I don't know about I don't know about a lawsuit, but you certainly could say, "Hey, I need some of that royalty money because I was the one
was
that
my
brought it
idea.
up."
I got to tell you, listening to like Midnight's Edge and so many of the others, I've come to realize that you got to be careful because I think people tend to shout out their ideas to writers and whatnot, and they can't use those ideas because they're afraid of being sued, and because it happens so often. And you almost have to say, like I think about some of the authors and I'm like, if I were to throw out an idea to you, for example, TJ, I'd have to say, TJ, here's an idea for you. Tell me what I need to do to sign a waiver or whatever so you can use this free and clear. I don't want anything from it. I just want to see the idea, get used. It's dicey. There have been stories about people from like Star Trek that have gotten ideas from fans at conventions, and they're like, I had already thought of that idea. Now I can't use it because liability.
Well, the whole in Star Trek Discovery, the whole
Yep.
tardigrade thing,
Yep, that whole lawsuit.
that went into a lawsuit. That was when I read it, I was going, I can't believe they did this. How could they
Yep.
possibly take it whole cloth? And they used it.
Personal opinion on this one. This is another example of the financially backed company. They get away scot-free, literally stealing the idea from somebody else.
Money talks, the rest of us walk.
Yep.
That sounds like, wow, I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, it was big, nasty. It was awful at the time.
It's because I didn't share too much of this with you, Boomer, because it was all a big lawsuit that didn't really require,
Right.
our attention on Geeky Geezers. But yeah, it was nasty, and it was
Wow.
the kind of thing that you look at Star Trek and you go,
It should.
these are the same guys that went after the Axanar people. It's like, screw you people,
They got to
Really.
get their act together over there at Paramount.
And
And
Okay.
Axanar should have what should have actually happened with Axanar is they should have gone in there and say, let's produce this, man. Let's make a show out of this, because that was a fantastic story. I loved it.
so one of the things we've talked about a lot on Geeky Geezers was exactly this idea that, and the example that I often use is the, how do you call it? The intellectual property of Batman, right? You have 20th Century, was it 20th Century Fox or CBS or whatever it was that put out the Adam West Batman?
I think Fox was the company that owned it because they were the studio that made it. Maybe CBS aired it because remember there wasn't even a Fox TV
Right,
channel.
but Warner Brothers owns Batman. And so because there was that dichotomy, nothing happened with the Adam West. And there was no DVD release, and there was no toys, and there was nothing. And eventually, both sides were like, this is stupid. Neither one of us is making money on it. Let's come to agreement, and let's both make money on it. And that's why we got the DVDs today, and that's why Figures Toy Company is putting out the action figures, and we got cartoons with the voice actors before Adam West died, and so forth, and that's great, right? Unfortunately, that's the exception to the rule. What generally happens is you end up with, we tend to blame the continuity errors and whatnot to, well, everyone wants to be woke, so they got to change things and so forth. And no, I mean, that is a side benefit. The reality is they don't want to pay the people that originally came up with the stuff. So that's why you look at Bad Reboot and you look at Discovery and you look at Picard and all that stuff. You can blame the woke. That's ancillary. The real reason is they don't want to pay the person that came up with the character or the person that wrote the story in Next Generation and so forth. Same thing with your superhero stories. They don't want to pay the person they don't want to pay Ethan Van Sciver, who created this storyline and whatever. They're going to...
Yeah, we worked on that.
Whatever. They're going to create something new, and they're going to change the gender because that gets them woke points. But ultimately, they don't have to pay Ethan Van Sciver for something. That's what it comes down to. So, guys, what it comes down to is you're upset that your franchises are being hijacked and pirated and so forth. Screw all those people. Buy this guy's book. Yes. Jump in on something brand new, and you don't have to worry about that stuff. Right?
There you go.
Like Orville Nation says, it's the fans, it's the independent creators. They're the ones making the best stuff these days, right?
Well, actually, the fans are doing the best work. That's Michael French, but
okay.
Yeah, PJ always says, together we grow.
Yeah.
I think those two go hand in hand very well. So let's get back to another boring day in space. You're releasing that on the 12th. Am I correct? Yeah. That's my brother's birthday. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm releasing it on the 12th. I'm looking forward to doing some work with it. For reasons that are not relevant right now, I haven't been able to promote it. This is my launching point, literally.
Thank you again for choosing my little virtual bar for doing that. I appreciate that.
Quite on the contrary, I'm beyond happy to be doing this.
I'm embarrassed because I'm looking at the screen and it says I only have 9 viewers right now, so I feel like I'm falling short on you here. But hopefully we can share this out. Please, all 9 of you, please share this out so that we get as many eyes on this as possible, because I want to justify TJ deciding to use us as his launching point,
No, and
thank you, Netter.
You'll get some people that I've pushed it, but it's a little late for my crowd.
Yeah,
they'll get to you. They'll get
Amen.
to you. So, long and short of this, starting next Monday, a couple of days from now.
Yep.
I'm going to start doing the hard push on it all the way to Christmas. After Christmas, I probably won't be doing very much after the 28th. I'm going to take from the 28th on until February off, and then I'll be going on higher.
Cool.
Here's validation for you. Boosh McFadden says, I'm glad you did. No offense, but I didn't know who TJ was. That's exactly why I do what I do. Not just for TJ, but for every guest that I have on here. I feel that I'm doing a service not just to the guests that I have on here, but to all of you, because I'm bringing to you people that I like, that I follow that I think you will enjoy, because if you follow me, you probably like a lot of the things I like too. So, I'm doing a service to the community, so to speak.
I do like the tagline for the book. Being bored is not so bad if the alternative is murder.
Yes.
I like
Right. It's like I can already tell. I don't know the details of the story, but I know that murder is involved. They get into something that they don't want to be a part of, and they're thinking, damn, I was bitching about being bored a while ago. Now I wish I was bored. You know?
Or
That's
being accused of
exactly
murder.
where I was going with it. That's perfect, man. And let me tell you something. I mean, I've been to Maria's channel, of course. I've been on a couple of others. I'm here now. Thank you very much, and I really do appreciate it beyond what I can tell you. And it's nice because maybe you'll take a look at my book. Maybe you'll read it, but maybe you'll start taking a look at other self-published authors. And correct. And and it's really good to go out and take a look at self-published authors and see what they have to say. No, it won't be your run-of-the-mill story. It won't. There's an Irish dark fantasy writer called Stephen Black.
Okay.
Very few people know about him, but the guy's brilliant. His books are incredible.
Yeah.
I'm not a big dark fantasy reader, but I read his book and I'm going, oh my God, this is gold. And it's the kind of thing that it's really nice and it's really refreshing after how many Captain American movies do we have now? 8,
We have a
10,
series
12?
now too.
Yeah. There's a lot of repetition. I mean, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. When I saw the first movie, I was going, wow, this is great. The second one, yeah, this is good. They have a Christmas special that already came out, and I haven't watched it because I'm not sure I want to see it. Enough already.
Right.
Show me something else. Show me something new.
Speaking of, we are of course promoting your sci-fi writing, specifically your murder mystery in space, but I do want to go a little bit back to some of your other writing. You also have written some horror stories, am I correct?
Yes. I wrote zombies.
Ooh.
That's what happened.
Wait a minute. Can you raise that up a little bit?
Yeah.
Let me see that. Oh my goodness. Okay.
A tropical vacation. What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, I like that cover. Okay.
That cover in particular was that's a brilliant work by a wonderful artist. Her name is Leanne Hansen.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
She is a fantastic person, great artist. She's got all kinds of cred in the horror community. This was my first horror novel. I got in touch with her because I really liked her work. I mean, she's got some amazing covers, just as art. They're great.
Right.
And I told her, I have this zombie story that takes place in the Florida Keys. And she's going, oh my God, really? I lived in Florida. Tell me more about it. And I said, well, so I gave her a little bit about it.
It's getting to be all my favorite people live in Florida.
Well, she's living up north now. So she said, send me the book. Let me read it.
Sure.
So I did. And she said, I'd love to do the cover for you. And she came up with this, which is fantastic. Now, my zombies are 20 Day After zombies. So they're a little bit faster. They're not the shambling Romero zombies. And it takes place in the Florida Keys. So there's sun, there's sand, there's a perfect vacation spot, and the zombies ruin the whole thing. So
As they tend to do.
yes, as they
Right.
tend to do, they stink up the place, man. I'm telling you. I really enjoyed writing that because I wanted a horror story that I could laugh at. To be
Yeah.
perfectly honest with you, I remember Young Frankenstein. I remember
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Costello, and the Wolfman.
Oh,
So
I mean, even like you. I've shared this in the past couple weeks. This whole idea of comedy and horror having very similar beats,
yes,
and I think one of the scariest horror films, the slasher films of the 80s, right? Freddy Krueger. What was very off-putting was he had humorous dialogue. He'd have these
old, yes,
very Spider-Man like humorous lines, and it's like ha ha ha. I mean,
exactly. So what I was going with on that book.
Oh, and real quick, I wanted to say hi to Adega
Adega.
Outlaw. We were literally just talking about you at the top of the show, talking about authors that have been on the show and so forth. So thanks so much for stopping by today, Adega. I'm sorry. Go on, DJ.
No, that's okay. So what I was going with this book was I wanted zombies, but I wanted them in, you know, the light of day. I didn't want them, in the shadows or
Sure.
jump out at you scares. I wanted them in the light of day. I wanted them in the harsh sunlight. People being able to see what was happening, being able to defend themselves to a point. I enjoyed that a lot, and I enjoyed doing the research for it a lot too, because I went down to Southern California, Southern Florida, went to Miami, went all the way over to the Keys, took a look around, find out how many people lived on a key, if it would be viable for something like what I was thinking of happening. And it turns out that, yeah, it can. And as Boomer found out, and I did too,
Oh, yeah.
we are catastrophe prone over here.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
One of these storms can really mess with your, water power, internet. It's amazing. Our modern lives are very much dependent on a lot of services that we take for granted because they're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not from Miami. I'm from Orlando, but you're close. I'm only 3 hours away.
So you need to tune in next week, TJ, because next week Agent Boomer is going to tell his story about dealing with Ian, and we are going to have Emmy Award-winning meteorologist Katie Nicolau to talk about Ian specifically, but chasing hurricanes and storms and meteorology in general.
And she also has
because she's crazy. Yes, she is.
Yeah, she has her own channel as well. So many random fandoms, and she can be seen on Orville Nation, I believe, as well, right?
Absolutely.
I was just going to say, wasn't she the one that did the Orville Nation weather, the Orville weather?
Yes, she did, and she had
Yeah.
the very viral meme about not eating icicles because they contain poop. Poopsicles. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was funny, and it was a big hit.
Don't eat icicles because they contain all the crap that the birds have dropped on your roof.
Okay, good to know.
No, seriously though, tune in next week. We'll talk more about Florida and hurricanes and so forth.
Now, I know Orlando got hit by Ian too. How badly did you guys get hit? Up there? I don't know if it was as bad as in my area, but it was. I still heard people got flooded even up in Orlando. That's what I'd heard.
Yeah. Orlando as a city got hit hard, not terrible, but bad.
Yeah.
In fact, right by where I live, people lost everything. I mean, there was flooding up to 3 feet
Wow.
So once you go beyond 1 foot,
Yeah.
everything starts going bad because it gets into your electrical and so on and so forth.
It's horrible.
So
Boomer's going to tell us all about that next
Well,
week.
Oh, yeah.
He's
I didn't
definitely
get I didn't get
experienced
hit
that.
quite that bad, but I'm telling you, like Fort Myers, they got hit worse than us. And
oh my God, Fort Myers got hit bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, there was YouTube channels that was carrying the footage, and they would show, you know, the water rising, and it would be like, oh my! I mean, I've never seen anything like that. You know.
Well,
It's- oh, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say it's interesting you wrote a thing about zombies in Florida because it's like zombies. That's sort of a natural disaster in a way.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I mean, that's
great minds, man. Great minds.
go ahead.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean here, my wife was all concerned because she literally sat right in front of our patio door, looking out, looking at the water coming up, and she was going, "It's going to get us, going to get us." I was going, "Chill out. It won't. We still have about a foot. Chill out. It won't happen." Some friends of ours were not as lucky. I mean, they did get water into their properties and their houses. Some of us had it bad. Some of us did, but we were okay, thank goodness. So, and I didn't rescue any orphans. So
I'm just
Boomer,
mess-
that's it too. I mean,
I didn't rescue any orphans. I lied.
You liar! Stolen valor.
Ashamed. I'm crying buckets here. You believe?
Oh, we'll get into it next week. No worries about that.
No, but
But,
the Keys are an interesting place. Have you ever been to the Florida Keys, Key West, Troy?
I have not. No,
It's
I
like
have.
going to the end of the world. That's what it feels like. when
I'll
you're
tell
over
you
there.
where I've been.
Really
I've
weird.
been to Disney World. I've been to Busch Gardens.
nice place.
Airport.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The airport.
yeah.
They can be nice sometimes.
There's a whole story there that Netter and I should share sometime. If you've ever seen the movie, what was the Terminal
The terminal.
with
Oh, yeah.
Tom Hanks.
with Tom Hanks?
Yes.
Yeah.
We had an experience very, very similar to that. We went down to the Dominican Republic. We were supposed to attend a friend's wedding that was going to be on a cruise ship. So we were supposed to catch the cruise ship off of out of Florida. And our flight was late, so we missed the cruise. So we had to take another flight to the Dominican Republic. We literally had to take a cab across the island. Still missed the cruise. We said, screw it, we're going back. We went back, got back to Florida. Well, but first we get back to the airport in the Dominican Republic, which I guess, you know, after a certain time, they roll up the sidewalks and they close down. So we literally had to sleep in the airport overnight before we can get back to Florida. And it was kind of a nightmare, but it's one of those things we can laugh about now, right? You know, but it's still the thing that sticks in Netter's craw. It's like, we should really move to Florida. I don't want to move to Florida. We've only had bad experiences in Florida. Well, it's different now, you know, but so.
Okay, just because Boomer's there doesn't mean I want to move there.
Boomer's there, TJ's there, you know, the taxes are better, you know, they got a good governor. Frick, it's the only place in this country worth living in anymore at this point.
Oh, there are other places. Even in some states there's still places.
Definitely not Illinois. We got to get the fuck out of Illinois. Let me tell you.
What are gun laws like?
Yeah, well, they've got concealed carry there, so that's
Okay,
what we
let's
need to
move.
be. Yeah,
There's good and bad about all states. Sometimes more bad than good, but you know, it's a big
Well, I
union.
can tell you something. We've got-
Bush says right. Miami Airport was a different planet for a while.
so was Orlando Airport, let me tell you.
Oh, wow.
But one good thing about Orlando, at least, they've got good bars.
Mhm.
There are places
Cheers.
to drink.
Troy makes his own drinks. You did that Kryptonite one, right?
Yeah, so what I do try to do, I mean, tonight I'm having the Glenlivet because just to honor our guest, but and it's smooth and for special occasions, But I like to make different mixed drinks for whatever the topic is. We had joke what's his name? Joker Voice a couple weeks ago. So I did a Joker themed drink that I found on the internet, and I like to look up different drinks that I can find online.
So does that mean next week you're going to drink a hurricane?
Ooh, good idea, Netter. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Got to figure out how to make that. Yeah, no, exactly right. And so if you were to ask me what my now, I just realized I didn't mention this at the top of the show, and I really should have. I always the conceit of the channel is that whoever the guest is for the night is the guest bartender. And you are the second actual bartender bartending for us tonight. Am I right?
Yes, sir. You certainly are.
Joker Voice was first. You're the second.
Thank you.
You're a bartender in real life, so to speak.
I was a bartender in real life. Thank you for the quotes. The first time I was a bartender, it was out in California when I was in college, and I finally got beyond 21.
Mm-hmm.
I had been drinking for 7 years by that time.
Wow, 7-year bender. I'd be dead by then. I'm kidding.
I'll come up with a drink for Maria. Give me a minute.
I was just saying, I'm like, that's a good question. I got to think about that. Yeah. Next time Maria has me on, I got to have a drink in mind.
Well,
because she streams on Friday, so I could do her stream before I do mine, so I can front load on her stream.
Well, I was just gonna say back when I did that, which was early 80s, people drank the weirdest stuff. They drank Brandy Alexander's. They drank Sex on the Beach. They drank Angel's Tits. They drank all of. No,
I've never heard that one before. Okay.
I know what he's talking about, but okay.
That is a great drink.
No,
yes, it is.
I believe you. I just never heard
Google
of it.
Yeah, Google it.
I'm gonna do it.
Well, TJ, what is your favorite drink?
I'm a simple guy.
Okay.
I drink scotch.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But a million years ago, when I was really young.
Oh, real quick, let's say hi to Ano Mas, who's saying Long Island Iced Tea.
Long Island Iced Tea.
I've never had Long Island Iced Tea. I've heard about it.
You have to try it.
I will try it one day. Yeah, absolutely.
Have a top shelf one.
Oh,
that baby has.
If I'm gonna bother to try a drink, I should at least treat myself to top shelf, right?
No. I mean, that one has vodka, has tequila, has rye, has a Long Island.
TJ, what's the best tequila?
In my opinion, or
yes, in your opinion.
In my opinion, Terramana.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know because I'm not a big tequila drinker, but it's nice to know what people in the know think, so that I have an idea.
I mean, in my opinion, it's Terramana tequila. A lot of people go to Don Julio or to Patron. They're good. They're fantastic tequilas. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're very good. But Terramana has a lot of a little bit of smoky flavor. The Reposado has
True agave. Okay, because that makes it. People don't realize that makes a difference. I mean,
of course,
too many tequilas out there. It's like this isn't even real agave.
And that's it. Avion is good. And there's a lot of tequilas out there. That doesn't mean I just may not have tried somebody's favorite.
Sure.
I've tried a few lately for different reasons, and Terramana has been putting out a fantastic product.
Bush makes a great point. So over on Michael French's channel, they completely unrelated to what their topic was. They were talking about booze, and they were talking about the fact that there's and we see this in just about every fandom there is. Booze is a fandom too, right? And people get interested in certain drinks, and then the prices skyrocket, and it's like,
Yes.
okay, I'm done. I'm going to go to something else, right? And price and what's good don't necessarily go together. That's true for everything. It's true for alcohol. It's true for tobacco. It's true for, everything. Sometimes you don't have to spend a lot of money to get what really is the best, if you're really honest. So I'm kind of going off book. Going based on what I already know about you. You're a sommelier, right? You know your wines.
No, I did the sommelier course. I got to the very last part of it, but I didn't have the money to take the last test. So I'm not.
You know what? Again, that's another thing. It's like, whatever. You know your stuff, though. Whether you got the paper or whatever, right?
Right. Okay. In that case, yes. And
okay.
I started drinking wine when I was 15 because I had a very good friend who, that's exactly correct.
Right? Am I right? Is Bush right? Correct. I mean, that's so much it. It's like, the name doesn't mean anything necessarily.
And that's a perfect segue to what I was going to say. I had a friend who introduced me to wine when I was about, 14.
Sure.
And we were drinking really good wines. I mean, Matus.
I know Lancers. Where this is going, actually.
Oh, God. Go ahead. But by the time I was 20, I had drank that's rum, though. I had drank a lot of wine.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, I was starting to, this was mid-70s. There was a lot of opinions about wine out there.
Yeah.
And people were saying, oh, this is a great wine. And I was trying it. And I had a lot of bad wine by then.
Yeah.
So I knew what bad wine was like. And I was going, no, this is not a good wine. This is a fair wine. And a very, very good friend of mine said, here, let's go to Napa Valley. Let's take a taste of good wines. And oh my God, it changed my life. I said, I want to do this. I want to do this for a living.
Yeah.
I didn't have the talent for it. Otherwise, I would have. But
so I've taken no classes. All I know is what I've tasted and what I like. And Netta and I we've done some traveling, and we've tried different wines in different places that we've been. And I happen to have come to the opinion that there is value in tradition, but there is also value in innovation. Why do I say that? Because there are wineries that will use, I don't know what you'd call it, but they don't use cork. They use something else.
Right, the silicone corks, yeah.
Yes, and it's like, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. You never have to worry about the cork drying up. You never have to worry about the cork being responsible for the wine going bad, things like that, And it's like, that's an example of something that's new, but okay, and brilliant,
Troy, listen, you've just put your finger in one of the most important things about any endeavor.
Yep.
Remember we were talking about repetition and
Yes.
tropes and so on and so forth.
Right.
You know, the person that grabs the wine cork and smells it and so on and so forth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Unless that person is very well trained, knows what the problems with a cork can be, because
Yep.
it will tell you nothing about the wine.
Yep.
It'll tell you about the cork, but not the wine.
Yep. You know,
So-
that's an excellent point. Absolutely. And this is what boggles, you know, I've seen too much of this. You see these experts who
Okay.
who taste the wines and they say, "Oh, this is, you know, such and such vintage and da 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 and blah 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 and this and that."
There was a Twin Peaks episode about it.
No, you're
You know what I'm talking
Thank
about.
you for bringing it back to Twin Peaks again. Thank you. But in it's true. You've got these people who put on these airs, and honestly, some of these wine tasters, experts, whatever, they are as full of crap as fakers and fortune tellers. You know, they're literally making shit up. The people I trust are the ones that say,
I like
when it comes to wine, whatever you like, that's what you should buy. Then I trust that person.
That's what the Frugal Gourmet used to say. I believe it was him or somebody like him. He said, "What kind of wine do you eat with what I'm making tonight? The kind of wine you like." That's what he said. You know, that's how he would end every show.
I don't know. I have never had blueberry wine, but I love blueberry and I love wine. I think this is something I need to try.
I've had it. It's good. It's
Right.
it's
I'm
different.
all for it.
It's a different kind of wine, but it's good. And going back to your point, Troy,
Mm-hmm.
when you try a wine,
Yeah.
and let me tell you my experience. There was a person I respected. I used to buy a wine magazine and read it. This is
Sure.
back in the 70s. It wasn't there was no internet. You had to actually buy paper.
That's why
And-
I read Playboy for articles like that, you know, about the booze.
Same here in Penthouse too, but that's a different story.
Oh, don't give me that. Don't give me that. You can't do that when you switch to Penthouse. You can say it about Playboy. You can't say it about Penthouse.
So,
The funny thing, most of the people in the chat are like, I don't even know what these magazines are. Magazine? What's a magazine?
I think Carl Sagan had an article in Penthouse. I think. Yeah.
Jimmy Carter had a great interview in Playboy. That's why
Yes, it did.
Yes.
it did. Yes, it did. So, anyways, I was reading.
Sorry, I got off on a tangent there.
That's okay. So I was reading about this magazine, and this guy is going, you know, oh, this is a great wine from the north side of the vineyard, and this and that and the other. And at the time, I was going, oh wow, this guy really knows his stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he knows this and that. And then I went to a vineyard, and guess what?
What?
They collect the whole vineyard.
Yep.
They press all of it,
Yep.
Yep. Everything.
Yep.
And that's where the bottles come from. So how the hell are you going to be able to tell it came from the north of the vineyard?
No.
There's
Yeah.
no way. Now, the person said it with such authority and in such a way that it was very believable. It was full of shit, but it was very believable. So, you know, it takes one to know one, I guess. So, you know, that's when I said, no. I'm going to find out for myself. And I started tasting wine. And that's when I found out that it's not what they tell you you like. It's what you actually like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Nanette and I have pretty much come to this conclusion about wine. I decided this about tobacco many years ago. It's what do you enjoy? And just because it's kitschy and it's what people say is great, you know what? My mama raised me to go against the grain and be a leader, not a follower. You know, so I will do whatever I enjoy, and to hell with what's popular.
This is probably a sin, but you've mentioned tobacco several times. I don't smoke anymore, unfortunately, for me.
Fortunately or unfortunately, depends on how you look at it.
No, unfortunately for me, because I really enjoy that stuff.
It's fine.
But what do you smoke?
When I smoked, I was a pipe smoker.
Many years ago, he doesn't smoke anymore.
Yeah. So I'll tell you that story in a second. But when I was in late high school, going into college, I started going to a tobacconist that was near where I lived. I went there to buy a pipe as a gift for a friend of mine who is a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. So I bought him a pipe, and I bought him 2 ounces of a tobacco blend. The name of the tobacconist was the Tinderbox. And they have a blend.
Tinderbox was my favorite shop.
You know what I'm talking about then.
Absolutely.
They had a blend called called Sherlock's Choice. It just seemed reasonable. So I bought him a calabash pipe. I bought him 2 ounces of Sherlock's Choice. Gave it to him for Christmas. Bought myself a little pipe. I was going into college at the time, so I bought that, and I bought some very aromatic. I bought 2 very aromatic blends. I bought Sunset, and I forget what the name of the other one was. They were very sweet tasting aromatic blends.
It was cherry.
It was some sort of a cherry flavored blend. But if you know anything about pipe tobacco, it's like cigar tobacco. You don't inhale it, and I'm not pulling a Clinton here. Yeah, I didn't inhale. You know,
you don't inhale it.
It's true. You don't inhale it. You take it in for the flavor. You do take in the nicotine and the stuff, but it doesn't go directly into your lungs. Some of it does, but this is why cigarette smokers end up with lung problems. Pipe and cigar smokers tend to have esophagus and tongue problems. Right. So there you go. But anyway, that's my history with tobacco. Nanette and I got married in 92. I was a pipe smoker at the time. We met when I was in college. And she had no problem with me smoking a pipe because I smoked these very aromatic tobaccos. They smelled really nice. But she did say, you know, you're starting to smoke this a little over often. I'm concerned. I said, okay, maybe I'm getting addicted. And I threw it all out. I threw out the pipe. I threw out the tobacco. I threw out everything. Which kind of bummed her out a little bit because she liked to take the tobacco and put it into the drawers to, you know, put the smell into the, you know, the drawers and the clothes and the stuff. But anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, that's my history with tobacco. I did buy a pack of cigarettes once. I smoked them the same way.
Why would you do that?
I smoked them because it was a Turkish blend cigarette. The problem with it was that I smoked them the same way I did the pipe, and I didn't smoke them very often. So by the time I went back and got another cigarette, they'd like dried up.
Right.
And if you've ever had dry tobacco, it's like, oh! And I ended up wasting the money that I spent on it. I never bought another pack of cigarettes, you know?
Well, I smoked pipe tobacco when I was in college.
See? College is the evil. That's where it comes from, right?
It's a gateway drug.
It's a gateway drug. Yeah, you're right.
I had a calabash pipe, which it was a gift.
Yep.
And then I had
Yeah, just to clarify, he wasn't the one that I gave the calabash pipe to. It's parallel stories here.
So, and I really enjoyed the tinderbox, different sampling tobaccos, and
Mm-hmm.
they had sweets, they had sours. It was wonderful.
Right.
Um, Once I started being serious about wine, I quit smoking pipe and I switched over to cigars, and that was bad.
Okay, why?
Um, Cigars are very easy to carry. I mean, when I had
That's
the
true.
pipe.
Pipe. Just for my audience, if you're going to smoke a pipe, you've got the physical pipe. You've got to put the tobacco into it. You tamp it down. There's a whole procedure that goes into it. You smoke it for a while. It'll go out. You have to tamp it again. Maybe aerate it. You know, there's all this procedure that goes into it. You don't have that with a cigar.
The lighter is not a regular lighter. It's got to be, a 90-degree lighter,
Yup.
or you have to have wooden matches,
Matches.
because
Yep.
regular matches won't work, and so on and so forth. So I switched over to cigars, and that's when,
Pause right there. Can we answer Bush's question here?
okay, a very unpopular opinion. Simon Bolivar.
Oh.
Simon Bolivar is there are several versions of it. Dominican Simon Bolivars are very, very good. They have torpedoes, they have Churchills, different
Sure.
sizes of them. I really enjoyed them. They were great, but they were terrible for wine tasting. I couldn't taste the wine afterwards.
Oh, that becomes an either or prospect, right?
Yeah, and that's when I quit.
Tonight I'm going to have my cigar. Tomorrow I'll have my wine. You can't have the two together.
And that's why I quit smoking, because
It's
I
one
like
or the
wine
other. Yeah,
better.
I get
Yeah.
it. What about so I guess as a cigar smoker, I got to ask the question, how do you come down on the whole Cubana thing? See, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Listen, I mean, I have good and I've had bad. And
Yeah.
fortunately for me, I'm not saying it this is not an absolute thing. This is
Uh-huh.
my opinion.
Okay.
I don't see it.
Amen. Amen. I get it. I honestly think the whole Cubana thing is because they were forbidden. That's the only reason that people think that there's something in it. Honestly, I did have a Cubana once. And then I had a Dominican, and I'm like,
And it was even better.
in some cases, yes. There was some better, some worse, whatever. There was a blend, but I came to the realization that I was just fine with some of the Dominican blends.
Look, I've had Dominican cigars that are absolutely wonderful. They have some sweet, very sweet tobacco. They have some tobacco that's extremely flavorful. They have some aromatics that are fantastic. With Cuban cigars, I haven't had that experience. They're good, but they're not great. I mean, I've had
Yeah.
Virginian cigars from tobacco from Virginia here in the U.S.
Sure.
are absolutely exquisite.
Let me ask you this, TJ. Cigars. You ever had a Swisher Sweet? These are cheap cigars. Cheap cigars.
Like Tipperillo?
They are very cheap. They're the kind you'd get at any local gas station. What I like about them, I'll be honest. This is very lowbrow. They're cheap tobacco with, I think what they do is they dip the tip of the cigar into a sugar water.
Oh, no, yes, I have had them. Yes, they're good. I've had them.
I like them. I do. And they're cheap and they're enjoyable, and it's kind of a guilty pleasure. It's like you tell someone who's really into tobacco, I like Swisher Sweet. They look down their nose at you.
No. Listen, I mean, I'm not a smoker.
Right.
But I've had friends that have, I smoke this, I smoke that.
See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Swishers are used to roll other tobacco. Screw you, Boosh. I know he's doing it just to fuck with me.
Listen, I mean, there's all kinds of tobaccos out there.
No. Okay, he corrects me though. He's right. He's probably right about this. The outer leaf is sugared. Yes. Okay. Good point. Thank you.
It is. The first time I had a Virginia tobacco, I was thinking, it's probably very elaborate. It's probably this and that. And I was completely wrong. It was a very carefully crafted cigar, nicely wrapped, not tight. You could roll it and it didn't crinkle at all. It was just perfect.
Yeah.
And so smooth. And I am sure there's many others that are just as good, if not better.
I'm gonna argue, Boosh. I don't care if it's mass produced or hand rolled. Those things don't matter to me. The flavor and how I feel as I smoke it is far more important. And if it's mass produced and they're all the same and I enjoy them, I'm gonna be good with that. Yeah. Right?
But what about
Absolutely.
But what about the handcrafted feel?
It's gotta be better than the mass produced then. If whatever they do makes it better, then I'm all for it. Just the process alone isn't going to be a selling point for me. I'm a simple man is what it comes down to, I guess.
I smoked a cigar whose selling point was it is rolled on the thighs of virgin.
I've heard that. I never had one of those, but I've heard this. Yes.
Okay, somebody treated me because I would not pay that amount of money for a
Right?
cigar.
Tell me, what did you think of it?
It was good. It was not great.
Exactly. Honestly, if I heard that, that would not be a selling point for me. That would kind of gross me out.
But okay, let's start with this.
You have guys buying bathwater on the internet from VTubers. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, though. That's.
Look, don't get me wrong. Amaranth is a very attractive woman. I don't fucking want her bathwater if you paid me to take it.
All right. Anyway, go.
Why would you?
For fuck's sake, man. Jeez. What is wrong with this world today, honestly?
I think we got off track. What was he saying? Yes. Okay.
No. You're good. Okay. Absolutely. In fact, that was my whole point. I mean, I could not see.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Right. I could not see the what's so attractive of it's because it was made this way or that way. This way is on the thighs of Cuban virgins or whatever. The other way is with a machine that makes them better. I mean,
he's making a joke here. I want my cigars rolled by a 12-year-old on release from Castro Youth Deployment, the tears taste better. Right?
Well,
The fuck,
okay,
man?
I've never tasted Cuban tears, but okay, I'll give it to you. Listen, we have
No
to find
spy
out.
sweat. Oh God, that's so gross.
Listen, we have to find out what he's drinking because he's got something going.
Right? Right? So
Absolutely.
I gotta ask TJ. We've talked about Dominica for a while here. Have you ever been?
Yeah. I
Oh,
have.
okay. Okay.
I spent a month in Santo Domingo. I enjoyed it incredibly. It's a beautiful place.
It is. I had a bad experience there, but at the same time, I can acknowledge it was a wonderful place.
So did I.
There you go. There you go. I do want to for your sake, I do definitely want to pivot because we spend a lot of time talking about tobacco and alcohol, which is very on brand for me, but I do want to come back a little bit to your book. Tell us, what was it that inspired you to write what I guess I'm assuming is a murder mystery in space?
I was an Agatha Christie fan when I was a young kid. And I loved the way that she worked it with Poirot, the way she worked it with Miss Marple. You know,
Yeah.
the way she worked it so that. Oh, thank you, Adega. I appreciate that.
Adega is a fellow author. He's been on my channel before. By all means, please subscribe to his channel because he shares a lot of his product there. He's good people, and we all grow together. Sorry, TJ, go ahead.
No, that's quite all right. So, for example, Agatha Christie is a person that I will always admire as a writer. She is a fantastic person in terms of the way she looks at characters, the way she can make such a simple thing makes an incredibly complex plot come together and at the other end come out very enchanting and bring you into her world. So Another Boring Day in Space for me was sort of an homage of her Murder in the Nile, where people are on a train where they can get off. There's a murder in it, and things happen. This is completely different in the sense that we have an engineer that is bored with his day-to-day life. He feels like life is passing him by, and the murder comes in unexpectedly to literally crush what he is having. So, that's where that came out of. And I really enjoyed.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I was going to say, I apologize. So I get from one of the things we've talked about on the channel before is that they referred to Aliens, the film Alien, as a ghost story, a haunted house in space is how they referred to it. And I kind of feel like you're kind of telling me that Another Boring Day in Space is kind of like an Agatha Christie novel in space.
Yes, absolutely. Alien, by any kind of standard, is a gothic horror story in space.
Nice.
Another Boring Day in Space is, yes, an Agatha Christie story in space. I don't have a Hercule Poirot in my book. Here, the accused is the defendant, and he is the one that, you know, charges forward and finds out the truth. Um, but absolutely, this is uh, actually a very classic story of a closed room with no way out,
Uh-huh.
uh, an accused that's trying to prove his innocence, and everything is against him until the very end.
Cool. And this is releasing on the 12th. How can
Yes,
people
sir.
get a hold of this book when it comes out on the 12th?
Okay. The easiest way is to look for Another Boring Day in Space in Amazon.
Amazon.
And
Okay.
right. And if not, they can go to my webpage. There they have a link that it's a universal link. They can get it from Kobo, they can get it from Amazon, they can get it
Right.
in their favorite book provider.
And to find his webpage, just look in the description of the video below. There's a link right there. No problem. That'll be like he said, that'll become available on the 12th. This is just the hype in advance of the release of the book. That's how marketing works, people. Real quick before we wind down, one other thing I wanted to ask you about, not just this book, but tell us about some of your other books before this. Now, first, this is not a sequel to any of your previous books, right?
No.
Okay.
I write standalone. I have over here. I
There you
have Einstein Shadow Galactic Holler. I have Trip. I have over here. There we go. Zombies. That's what happened. And I actually have a craft book, which is writing and self-publishing, soup to nuts.
I actually need to get that book. I really, really do, because I may self-publish one day. I really might.
Well,
this
in
based on
that
your own-
case,
I was gonna say,
Evelyn, oh, go ahead.
is this based on your personal experience getting self-publishing and the like?
Yeah.
yes. I self-publish Evelyn. It is available in Kindle as an ebook and as a paperback, either way. And going to Troy's question, yes, writing and
Perfect.
self-publishing, soup to
Perfect.
nuts.
Cool.
You
I'm
can
gonna
get
have
it
to.
in
Who knows?
Amazon.
People like Jedi Bill might actually convince me to go ahead and publish some of my stories.
And that one is in KU, which is Kindle Unlimited. So if you do have it, you can read it for free.
Cool.
Which Kindle Unlimited is not free because I'm a member and I pay every month.
Right.
So
There you go. So I guess that brings up another question. So you got Kindle, you got. I'm assuming this is also going to be available. Like old farts like me can order an actual physical book, right?
of
Oh,
course,
physical
from
media.
your favorite
Yes.
book supplier,
Absolutely.
Kobo, Barnes and Noble, any of them, go ahead, order it. It's available. I myself love books. I mean, the real thing with pages and so on.
The smell of an old book.
Right?
My
My favorite
gosh.
book is Noble House by James Clavell.
Okay.
and I read that at least once a year.
Nice.
And,
There was a book that I read by Michael Moorcock. It was called The Warhound and the World's Pain. And I know that it was part of a larger series, but I only ever read that one book. And for whatever reason, I really loved the book. It was an older book when I got it. I got it secondhand at a secondhand store. And it had that pulp smell. You know what I'm talking about.
absolutely.
And I don't know. I'm sure there's people in the chat that probably know Michael Moorcock's work better than I do. But this particular book, the idea of the story was the hero. No, let me not say that. The protagonist of the story was a not very heroic character who had an encounter with the devil. And the devil said to him, I want to hire you to do a deed for me, to do a quest for me. Because, and they go through the whole biblical story of Lucifer falling from grace and all that kind of stuff. He goes, I want to get back in God's good grace. I want to repent, but I cannot because there is a gulf between me and God. So if someone takes on a quest for me in my name, maybe I can get God's attention and I can be redeemed. And that quest it's basically the Grail quest, you know. And this adventurer says, but to go after the Grail, you have to be pure of heart. I am not pure of heart. He's a warhound. You know, he's committed atrocities. And he says, the devil says to him, well, you could consider the whole quest as a purifying act. And maybe by the time you find the thing, you will be...
Should be good.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I'll try. Because the offset to it, what do you have to offer me is, he says, look, he goes, you are this, as a warhound, you have committed atrocities and so forth. And when you die, you're going to hell. You're mine. Now, I can't grant you absolution. I can't get you into heaven. But when you die, I could choose not to accept your soul. That's something. And again, you know, the whole process might, you know. And it was a great story. It was like you said, standalone story. I understand this story actually was part of a bigger franchise within the Michael Moorcock world. But I didn't care. I read this story and I loved it, you know. So I don't have no idea where I was going with when I started sharing this. But
Standalone story.
yeah, just the idea of the standalone story that, you know.
How do I know your thought process better than you?
Because you've been married to me for over 30 years? Maybe?
Weirdo.
She knows me.
Weirdo.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo. That's true. But she is too. I thank God for her that she's a weirdo. You know, I said, you know, when I met this woman, I said, look, I better marry her as quickly as I can before she gets her eyesight back and comes to her senses, you know? Just saying. Yeah, Boosh, I'll check that. I'll tell you what. When I sober up, I'll check my email. How's that? Okay. So, but anyway, yeah. So I am. Well, I am looking forward to this book. Netter is very much looking forward to this book. This goes on sale on my brother's birthday. My brother passed away last year. It's a weird coincidence that kind of encourages me a great deal, so I super appreciate that, TJ. And we will definitely be getting a copy of this book just because we are very intrigued by the very concept behind this.
I love books.
Yeah.
Books are nice.
Exactly. But anyway. So that's where we're at. We're way past the 2-hour mark.
Oh, we are way past. But
I do appreciate you hanging out with us as long as you have, TJ. Anytime a guest makes it to the 2-hour mark and beyond is just saintly, in my opinion. So I super appreciate that.
Saintly.
But, yes.
Listen, let me tell you, both Boomer and you have been extraordinary. Very nice. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I've enjoyed everything we've talked about. So can't thank you enough, man.
Yeah.
I really can't.
So the name of the book is Another Boring Day in Space. It goes on sale on the 12th. I will be, if you're following me on the Twitters and the MeWes and the other social medias, I will definitely be spewing all about this on the 12th, putting out all the links and the so forth, but you don't even have to wait for that. Go ahead and go to TJ Manrique's link down in the description here and go to his page. That's where you will find the information about this book and all of his previous books, the zombie book and the everything else and the self-publishing, all of that. Go check it out. I know I've got some very talented, very insightful writers in the making in my chat. His book about being self-published might be exactly what you need to get your stories out there. Okay? So do that for yourselves. Not for me, not for TJ. Do it for yourselves. Okay? TJ, have I missed anything that you wanted to go over tonight?
The only thing you've missed, man, is my gratitude to you and to Boomer.
Thank
You've been extraordinary. I mean, I can't thank you enough. This has been absolutely incredible. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot.
You have a good smile, as Boosh tells us, so just so you know that.
So, man, anytime you want me, I'm here for you.
Amen.
Just give me a shout.
Awesome. Yeah, you know what? Maybe not a bad idea. We bring you on after the book has gotten out there and started to circulate, and we talk a little bit more about it. That might be a good follow-up.
Whatever project
Absolutely.
we're next too. Yeah.
Boomer, what do we got coming up? Well, wait a minute.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night over on Big Al's channel, we're going to be doing a little Christmas rewatch. We're going to be watching very, very classic. It's a Christmas classic. It's Miracle on 34th Street. It's absolutely one of my favorites. I'm kind of thankful to him just for doing this, just because at this age with no children at home and whatnot, I kind of lose track of this stuff. So if I don't have somebody,
good excuse to watch
exactly. So
Natalie
tomorrow night on Big Al Presents, we'll be watching that together. I will provide the Cosme link in case you don't have your own copy. You should own physical media, but if you don't, I'll be sharing a Cosme link so you can watch along with us.
You going to be watching the black and white version or the colorized version?
There is no colorized version.
Okay.
You blasphemer, you.
Black and white. I'm just checking. Okay.
No, I joke, but when it comes to colorized versions, I did see the colorized version of Miracle on 34th Street.
Boo.
What bothered me about it was it made me realize when you watch a black and white film, your mind fills in the color.
Yeah.
You know what skin color looks like. You know what color suit Santa Claus is wearing, all that kind of stuff, right? But back when they did the color, they called it turnerizing because it was Ted Turner, that pushed for all the colorizing. It looked like coloring in a black and white picture and coloring over the black part.
Yes.
And it looked wrong, you know? Since then, they have come up with better version with CG and all that kind of stuff. They do a better job. But honestly, there's something to be said for black and white, right? Exactly. And followers, people that follow me, people that follow Midnight's Edge, you know, and so forth. You guys know Tom Conkle. He's got out Murder Is My Business, the black and white version and the color version. He will tell you watch the black and white version if you have a choice. He'll just tell you that right up front. He'll tell you that right up front. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I'm going to share with all of you, I'm going to try and get Tom Conkle on my channel. If I could get TJ Manrique to launch his book on my channel, I'm going to try to get Tom Conkle on my channel. Maybe we'll do a rewatch of... We did actually do a rewatch of Trouble Is My Business before, but, you know, maybe we'll do it with him. You know, we'll see. But anyway, so that's Saturday. Sunday, what do we got going on, H?
Geeky Geezers, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff.
We got a lot going on. You know, look, I would be happy with one week that we could get through where we don't have a damn in remembrance of.
That's not good. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. That's singer.
Yeah, crap. Yeah.
Yes, one of the
Christine McVie. I said the only way that could have been worse is if it was Stevie.
I know.
Please, Stevie, stay with me because you're one of my first loves. You really are. But Christine McVie, we'll be talking about her, no doubt. But a lot of Disney news, a lot of stuff.
Streaming stuff. How streaming's not doing so hot.
Well, and we predicted it. Those of you that follow us know we talked about.
This is true.
If you don't follow us, you better be following Midnight's Edge. Okay, that's all I'm saying. You know, and you know what? I haven't thanked him tonight. Deleted scenes. He's dropping all the links out there. Thanks so much, my friend. Definitely follow Tom Conkle. He's good people. I think he's got a new project coming out. I got to talk with him real soon. I was a subscriber to his Patreon, and he put a pause on it, which tells me he's got something coming up. So I got to talk to him about that and find out more about that. And Bush is saying, I don't know what he's saying, but he got my attention. HBO special of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction this year looks great. I don't know anything about that, so you're gonna have to tell me about that, buddy. I don't know what's going on with that. Oh, he is telling me about that. Duran Duran, Eminem. These are names that should have already been inducted. I don't know why. Eurythmics. What the hell? You wait 20 years until after they put, I don't know, man. Carly Simon, for fuck's sake. If she's not already in the Hall of Fame, fuck it. They're useless.
Okay. All right.
They're so vain they still think the industry is about them. Fuck them.
Okay. Anyways.
You know what? Boomer, the very next week we don't have an in remembrance. I say we do something about Carly Simon just for the hell of it.
I agree. Maybe she's been up to something lately too. We can see if there's a news story to go with.
Right.
But
I don't care. She's just beautiful. I mean, whatever.
Anyway,
Harry Belafonte. Oh, for fuck's sake! Judas Priest.
Okay. Anyway,
Boosh! You're killing me here. What the hell is wrong with them?
Tuesday.
You're hurting my ears.
Sorry, you're right in the room with me.
Tuesday, we have on Mr. Mastic's channel. We'll be discussing the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yep,
Season 1.
I watched the whole first season. I literally binged the whole first season last night.
It's good.
It was wonderful, and I know I'm going to be disappointed by the time I get to the end of the second season because they're going to cut it short. I'm going to be fucked. Just like every other show I watch.
The Everybody Hates Peter Parker show. That's what it feels like.
I don't know. It's like everybody hates him, but all the girls love him. I'm just,
It's what they call an anime, but this shows up in American stuff too, a harem show. Smallville was also a harem show. I noticed that.
I agree, but I will say this about this Spectacular Spider-Man you guys got me watching. They are honoring the source material like nothing else I've ever seen.
Yeah, even what they did with Eddie.
I'm going to have a lot to share with you guys on Tuesday about that because I was reading these comics when these stories were happening, and that is why I'm fired up about this series you guys made me watch.
Yeah,
I'm going to just point out that you guys made me watch it.
Troy's got a picture of him in his spider costume as a kid. It's funny.
I do. I should use that as my icon on Tuesday.
Yes.
I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man reference in the Spectacular. There's a lot of them. Join us on Tuesday on Mr. Matchstick's channel. I will definitely be talking about those things. Thanks for stopping by the way. And Anomas, oh no, I thought you were listing bands that aren't in the hall. Thank you, Ano. That's a good point. Yeah, right? No, apparently they're being inducted, and it's like these 70s bands you're just inducting after 2020? What the hell is wrong with you? I don't know, man. Okay, so what about soundtracks with Birdman? Do we have anything on Monday and Wednesday?
Yeah, there's going to be a Batman show on Monday, and Wednesday we'll be going on an hour earlier because we're going to have a special guest, Retro Reels. We're going to be watching the Christmas classic Cobra with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, awesome movie, man.
Cobra.
It's a Christmas movie, right?
Is that the one where he says Rambo's a pussy?
That's Tango and Cash.
Oh, that's Tango and Cash. Okay.
This is the one who says, "You're the disease, I'm the cure."
Oh, the dialogue is brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Good conversation. Get the cameras, get the TV cameras in the air. No, I don't think so. Why not? I don't deal with psychos.
Exactly. Yes.
I see what Bush McFadden is saying, and I think of Prince of Darkness. You're not going to like it. Absolutely. Pray for death.
That's one of my favorite lines from that movie, actually.
Right?
I have a message for you,
and you're not going to like it. Pray for death.
Was that the Alice Cooper?
That was Alice Cooper. Yes. That was Alice Cooper. Yes. Oh my gosh, that is such a good. That is and I'm surprised I didn't do that one as part of my time travel series. It's a great time travel story, and it's a great Cthulhu-esque, Lovecraftian
some weird
story.
Stuff in there, yeah.
Both of them. Okay, so that's let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Still nothing on Thursday, right?
Friday, and we are back to Friday.
Friday, we have a very special focused on Aged Boomer and his tragedy with Hurricane Ian, where we will have, and it will be 1 hour early. Everybody, next week, last call is going to be an hour early. So it's 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. Okay? We're doing that to accommodate Emmy Award winning meteorologist Katie Nicolau. Okay? So between the time I booked her for the show and the time we actually do the show, she won an Emmy Award as a meteorologist.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I can say that I had an Emmy Award meteorologist as a guest on my channel, right? But she will be talking the science. Aged Boomer will be talking the practical experience with Hurricane Ian next week at 8 Central, 9 Eastern.
Okay, I'll be there.
which I hope you'll be there. I'm kind of screwed if
there,
you're
too.
not.
Just as audience, but I'll be there.
Okay,
There
thank
you go. I'm looking forward to you contributing in the chat,
Yeah,
PJ, as
thank you.
somebody who experienced the
Yes.
hurricane also. And that brings us to Netter's Network, where she is doing a rewatch of I don't remember, but she is going to look for us so that I can share with you.
For my birthday, a birthday
That's
movie.
right. This is her birthday weekend. Her birthday is the day before the release of your book, TJ.
Oh,
Awesome.
But that weekend, she has decided on a watch party of the movie Liar Liar, which is kind of a birthday wish that
birthday
leads
wish
to
movie, yeah.
a lawyer who cannot lie. That's interesting.
That's a big ask. Yeah.
That's an interesting story. So I'm looking forward to that. So Adega knows. Yeah. He's going, yay, Katie. Yeah. Katie is awesome. She is, if I had been blessed with children and I had a daughter, I'd hope she'd have been like Katie. She'd have been one of those, whatever profession she went into, it would have been her shtick, but she would have also been a total nerd into fandom geeky stuff too. Or like those commercials that we saw when The Force Awakens was coming out, right? You are my daughter. I am your father. I just, she's the next generation of fandom. I'm kind of fired up about that. But I guess Boosh wasn't here when we started the stream. So Boosh, what were you drinking? Oh, let me focus in. Johnny Walker, Old Highland. Yeah. Good stuff.
Celebration blend, man, because I'm celebrating. It's a fantastic time to be alive.
So definitely go check out TJ's channel. It's linked below, and of course, Deleted Scenes has been sharing it throughout the stream. We've got a book coming out on the 12th, but he's got a bunch of other books. He's got the zombie book. He's got a book about self-publishing. Go check out what he's got to offer. Do it and then thank me later, because you will. This is a service I provide to all of you because all 11 of you came out to listen to the channel tonight. So anyway, so TJ, any last words before we wrap up tonight? Is there anything that I failed to ask you and bring up that you wanted to make sure we covered tonight?
The only thing I can say is, Troy, Boomer, thank you so very much for having me over.
Of course.
Listen, this is fantastic. I love being here with you guys. I've watched both of your channels. They're great.
Oh, great.
And I am beyond honored to being here. Thank you very much.
This is the kind of thing that PJ over at Orville Nation is talking about when he says we grow together, right?
Yeah.
That's the absolute truth. And listen, anytime I can be of any assistance, give me a call. I can badmouth the best of them. So just let me know.
I may hit you up if I decide to write a story and publish it. So for sure. Agent Boomer, any last words for you before we talk to you again on Sunday?
No, this was a lot of fun, and buy his book. Yeah.
Yes.
Coming out on the 12th. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Look.
Thank
Buy
you,
his
man.
book.
Appreciate it.
Support, the community, and like I said, buy the book and thank me later. You will be glad. Look, we spend a lot of time as a community bitching about what our fandoms have become and how they've been destroyed, but we also always say over and over again, we don't need reboots. We don't need sequels. We don't need this deconstruction of our favorite fandoms. What we need is new stuff. Well, here it is. Here it is. Buy this book. Make it a success, and maybe we see a movie of it. You know, who knows? Who knows? Maybe TJ Manrique is going to be the next Steven Spielberg or something. I don't know.
Oh, good Lord, yes!
Right? You know, but if nothing else, you know, it's a fortune you can leave to your daughters. That's what we're looking for.
Another boring day in space. Check out, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and something tells me it won't be boring. So there.
Yeah, I think that's the exact opposite of boring.
But anyway, I super appreciate all of you. I appreciate Aged Boomer helping me end a stream when I've been, you know, this far into the drink, and Netter for not divorcing me after 30 some years.
Would you like me to say last words like I usually do?
Netter, yeah. Why don't you say the say the thing? Say the thing. Yeah.
I always say that we can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well, good, and fine, and we have a great time doing it. But it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat. You're dropping comments, questions, trivia, bullshit.
Bullshit's fine, yeah.
Sometimes bullshit's fun. Just having, you know, a lot of fun with us. It's almost like we're all in the same room together.
Exactly.
And you guys aren't just friends for us. You're family too. We love you guys and we appreciate you being here. So thank you.
Super appreciate you guys. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't bother doing this if you guys didn't come every week. And I don't care that it's only 8 to 11 people. You guys are regulars, and I will continue to do this as long as you guys keep showing up for what we do. Definitely support the guest, because together we grow, as PJ always says, and I'll hold you to it. You guys buy the book, and I will expect you to thank me, because you guys are going to enjoy it. Take care, everyone. Love you, and I'll see you on the next one.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.